again, we are just getting the feed from the Vietnamese stream directly. We are still not able to get the feed through our servers here in Singapore. So that does mean, once again, this game will be without the in-game sound, so we do apologize for that.
Yeah, you can listen to our beautiful voices
once again
for the entirety of the next match. And of course, this time it's going to be Phat Ultimate on the blue side against Zotac 269. They have already taken one game off of the charts here, so looking to extend their lead and hopefully take 3 points off of tonight as we look at some of the bans coming in. And on the side of Phat Ultimate, Leona, LeBlanc, as well as Ranga, kind of a little bit of a switch up. Previously, they did ban out Denar, this time leaving it open. And on the side of Zotac 269, very surprisingly, still sticking with their bans here. Morgana, Jarvan, and Rumble. And Rek'Sai left open on the table will be locked in straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I really have to wonder what Zotac 269 is going to... like, what their game plan is, because as we mentioned in the previous game, the Rek'Sai did just a fantastic amount of work. So did the top lane Hecarim, but it doesn't seem like enough or strong enough of a game plan in a pick and ban phase to give away the Rek'Sai and then pick, yes, the Hecarim, but not the Xerath, I would say. Beyond has done nothing beyond expectations, honestly. He has picked his Xerath time and time again, which shows, you know, and not found results on it, which shows that, honestly, he's not comfortable on many other champions. And that's a problem. And they're still first picking it for him. He hasn't had any standout plays. He hasn't had any kind of, you know, brilliant playmaking. And this is something that is very vulnerable, you know, again, to the way Phat Ultimate played game number 1, which is they pick a composition that can still rush at you. Yeah, you take away one of those members, but you might still end up with 4. So they picked up the Janna and the Sivir once again, along with the Rek'Sai. That's already 3 of the members that were so crucial to just starting a team fight whenever they wanted. And Janna has the insurance, you know, if they ever do overstep a little bit, she has that reset with the Monsoon. And of course, the movement speed bonus when you run towards her gives you that little bit of strength in terms of disengaging when she is in the back line. So, you know, I'm very, very critical in terms of how the bans have come in for 269, as well as even their picks. This pick for Beyond, I think we can just flat out say he needs to expand his champion pool. That Xerath has not been working for him.
Yeah, that's right. And it was the Xerath pick for the series against the Hanoi Fuller squad back on Wednesday as well. So we'll see if this time around, if it makes a difference. Usually you don't say 4th time's the charm, but maybe this time it would be.
Maybe for 269.
Yeah, maybe just for the Zotac 269. But the good thing for them, going for them, is that this time they do secure the Sejuani on their arsenal of champions, and they do have the Hecarim as well, which we have seen has caused so much trouble in the Garena Premier League lately. He has just kind of just, what's the word, galloped into the scene.
Yeah, it's ridiculous almost. Hard to trace when exactly it burst onto the professional scene with so much of an impact. And it seems like even professional teams pretty much across every region, I would say, you know, even in Korea, where you see things settle down relatively quickly, and then there's a counter to this, then a counter to the counter, and then you know, they just seem to just catch on to the meta so quickly or develop in their own way so quickly. Hecarim has managed to kind of be that champion, which is just very, very hard to deal with in terms of laning, in terms of team fighting. Teams still are working around that very much so. And another champion that is worth mentioning that is likewise kind of rising up those charts of how exactly do you deal with this guy is Kennen, actually, right? He received a big buff in the latest patch 5.4, so it's only a matter of time, I would think, before, if you're looking for that team fighting champion that brings a lot of presence, makes it very hard for members that just rush into you, you know, Hecarim, Sejuani, Graves as well, that's very close range. Kennen can really be a big problem.
Yeah, that's right, and we did see Kennen in action earlier this morning as well when we are looking at IEM World Finals, where we did see TSM Dyrus bring that out as well. So, you know, with the changes coming in for NAR, a lot of these top laners are looking at alternative picks coming in. Hecarim is one of those, and of course Kennen reappearing on the scene again. It's just fantastic to watch. And of course you have the staples like maybe the Maokais, and once in a while you get your carry top laners like Irelia, but more often than not you want one of the champions that can just do a lot more for you in the team fights, and Kennen is just one of those, and we will see Phat Ultimate bring that into action. As we did get a last minute switch, was looking at the Thresh earlier, wanted to go for the Blitzcrank but decided against it, and I kind of do agree with this one. I personally like Thresh more. You do provide a bit more utility to the teams. The Dark Passage, sometimes it's just a perfect get-off-jail free card for your teammates if they get caught out in a very awkward position.
That's right, and I'm torn between my head and my heart right here, because in terms of the team composition that Phat Ultimate has picked, it's sticking to what worked with them so well in game number 1, right? You can see the champions actually all the same except for the Hecarim, which was picked away from them, but they found quite a good substitute in terms of team fighting, strength, as well as mobility in Kennen. But at the same time, I'm just thinking back to when they played against BKT, which we could argue is their strongest competition in the GPL, and they tried something new. It's like, that's not the team you try something new against, right? But a team that you just beat 24-4, that's the time I think where you try something new, because we're still very early on into group stages. I would have liked to see something, a little more crazy, seeing as how, Ultimate has already shown that tendency to do that. Just, maybe against a team that you have a little bit of an easier time against. But it looks like they want to close it out in a commanding fashion. Can't argue against that either.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess for Phat Ultimate in this case, the one that is sort of trying the new thing out is not the jungler.
No. Yeah.
So, it's not going to make that big of a difference per se. And the thing about Tarzan as well is that he's back on one of his most comfortable junglers.
That's true.
We saw what he can do in game number 1, how he has just been traveling around the map, how he has just made his dominance show in the global, grand scheme of things overall. Whereas for Zotac 269, they just can't seem to match up to that, and that's going to be a problem if they don't really find a solution to that in game number 2. And of course, we are in Summoner's Rift. Phat Ultimate gonna start things out on the blue side, Zotac 269 on the red as well. The top lane Cannon, we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the fact that Phat Ultimate has once again picked a composition that is so ready to just rush into the enemy team, create a lot of chaos, because I think this is good signs for them, not just in terms of picking a composition that is, has a lot of strengths, but it shows that even by being so-called the new kids on the block, I wonder how long we can keep saying that, given how one split has already passed.
Yeah.
But they recognize that in terms of team fighting, they are at least on par with, the strongest team fighting team, BKT, if not better. Yeah. So why not pick a composition that can get in there with all the chaos it can sow, and then just be really, really fast, really, really mobile, even in the team fights, and basically issue that challenge to the enemy team. Are you going to be able to swap targets very well? Are you going to be able to call out the targets very well? Can you track my flash timings? And basically all the chaos that this team composition will sow. It's good for Phat Ultimate.
Yep, and we did see a bit of a trade of damage there. King J, of course, subbing in for Crom this time around, and Heaven just kind of spotting things out for Zotac 269, getting a deep ward into the blue side jungle of Phat Ultimate. In this case will be able to spot him out should he choose to go for the Gromp cam, and I think Tarzan's going to do exactly that. So that actually is going to give Zotac 269 a lot of information to work with, and it's quite essential for Sejuani, because if you think about it, her level 1 to 5 ganks, the pre-6 ganks aren't as powerful as compared to Rek'Sai. So you want to know exactly where Rek'Sai is going, where is he starting, where is he working things out and stuff like that. So they will know for a fact that Tarzan is going to be up here together with Ness, and that's going to give a lot of security for Heaven to just go ahead and start things off on the blue side on his own blue side of the jungle.
That's right. Additionally, 2 other storylines we must advise our viewers on, to keep their eyes on, to keep their minds on rather, is number 1 in the top lane, given how Phat Ultimate just had a very, very successful Hecarim game. You could say Hecarim was just out of control. Let's see whether or not they put any kind of control, what kind of things they do to actually keep this Hecarim reined in, as you will.
Yep.
And on top of that, once it breaks out into that team fight phase, I do like the Sejuani pick coming in from 269, because they said, if Phat Ultimate are going to pick this team that's going to Zerg into us, the AoE from Sejuani, the AoE lockdown, AoE damage, AoE slow will be very, very effective. So we'll have to see how exactly Heaven plays out the team fights in particular.
And up in the top lane, we do already see Ness dealing a big chunk of damage to King J here, as we'll see how that one works out. As when you have this top lane Hecarim in place here, one thing that I notice is that they tend to max out that W after that Q. So in that sense, when you are in lane, you do have a good amount of sustain if you can just stay within the minions range right here. But the problem is that you're going up against Cannon, who's just a very effective damage dealer at long range here.
Yeah.
So even if you try to zero into your opponent's enemy minion waves here in order to try to regain some health, you'll find yourself just constantly poked down, and that's going to be a lot of trouble for King J here if he's not careful enough.
That's right. There's a lot of tricky mechanics behind the Hecarim Q. For one, it resets your auto attack, so if you're in that melee range, brawling with somebody, you can do a deceptive amount of damage in just a short amount of time. On top of that, the Q doesn't count as an auto attack, so it doesn't draw, the minion aggro to you. Yeah. So you can actually get away with a lot of free harass.
Now in the mid lane, we will see Hope going down there. Heaven making the first move in this particular game here. As that's going to be first blood going over to them. A pretty good sign to have Cirque using the Dark Passage to spot things out. B1 using the Spell Shield to block out the Death Sentence here. So, small action going across the map. And it is going to be Zotac 269 on the advantage here. But I might spoke too soon. We did see Cirque getting jumped on the back.
I didn't even see that. That's why I jumped. I was like, what? I thought Rek'Sai was going back to the jungle to farm, man. Uses the tunnel, quite aggressively actually. Gets it just in front of the tower right there. Sir had to burn his flash, so once again, I want to say once again, Tarzan hitting the lanes first, but that's actually not true. This time it's Heaven that hits the lane first, doesn't get the summoner spell down, so Hope held on to his flash, but he was taken down, of course. So Heaven doing a good job. I think he realized that, especially in game number 1 with his Pantheon pick, he really fell very far behind. Just didn't hit his 6 in an appropriate timing, and it gives such a big window for Tarzan to dominate the map. So this time Heaven with that first blood is at least evenly matched, level 4 to 4 so far.
Yeah, that's right, and that's going to help out Beyond quite a fair bit here. They are quite dependent on him in terms of the carrying potential here, and right now we do see Hope blowing out the flash. So Heaven's doing a lot of good work here in order to keep Unfat Ultimate under wraps, and I think that's exactly the kind of switch up he needs past game number 1. He needs to be the one to step up in terms of aggression, and he's doing exactly that right now. A small 600 lead for Zotac 269. Let's see if they are going to be able to hold on to that lead or, even extend that further. As I want to just throw this back to what happened on Wednesday itself. If you think back to the series against Bangkok Titans, Unfat Ultimate, they had a very solid game number 1. But what happened in game number 2 was that against the jungler, 7X, when he started to step up in game number 2, Unfat Ultimate started to struggle past that. So if this happens in this particular set, then we might just see very similar results to what happened on Wednesday night as well,
Yeah, that may be a viable strategy. I mean, we see it time and time again that there isn't a particular player on the side of Unfat Ultimate that stands out. It's really the whole team. And if you think about it, just kind of really in the most abstract black and white, or more abstract, not so black and white terms, what's that one role that can help the entire team early on? It's the jungle, right? Yeah. The jungle affects all lanes. I mean, if I was a team, coaching a team that goes up against Unfat Ultimate, and I'm looking at all these players and it seems hard to ban all them out, it's like, just go for the jungle. Don't let him get Rek'Sai, definitely. Jarvan's actually gotten nerfed a little bit, so maybe you don't need to ban him out, So his Rek'Sai, the Sejuani that he really likes to play, and that puts him on something like maybe a Lee Sin that if you deny early on...
like a Nidalee.
The Rengar that if you ward against a little bit better, the Rengar play was actually very impressive. So clearly, it might be a little bit hard to ban this guy out, but there's an argument to be made that the jungle is the one that affects all the lanes so far. And you're right, calling back in terms of the success BKT found in game number 2 of day 1 against Unfat Ultimate. It really was the opponent jungle that stepped up their own game and made things happen.
Yeah, so we'll see if Zotac 269 finds that sort of replication, which they desperately need because they are the top of the table so far, so they would want to keep that position as much as possible here. Down the bottom lane, though, we do start to see Celebrity as well as Cirque kind of struggle a bit against B1 in this case, as that CS lead is starting to build up by itself. In the mid lane as well, we do see the effects of the first gank kind of working out in the favor of Beyond, that 10 CSD, and now rotating to get the blue buff by himself slightly earlier as compared to Hope. That's going to help him out in clearing the wave, shoving up the wave, and we'll see if he eventually makes the first rotation into the side lanes. So other than the one that happened in the mid lane, the game has been relatively quiet, not much action happening across the map. We do get the TP back up in the top lane for Ness as well. So he's going to return to lane with the Seeker's Arm Guard as well. So getting an extra bit of armor to help out against King J in this situation. Tarzan might find himself in a very peculiar position, though. We do have 3 members around the vicinity should they choose to collapse down to him.
Well, it looks like the answer for Team Ultimate for the Hecarim pick of 269 might be just, outlane him. Yes, it's only about a 13 CS lead, but, before Ness actually went back, recalled to base, it was actually around 25. So he's had the back. 269's King J will have the back sooner or later as well, and I think that CS discrepancy will continue to grow. Now, this is quite interesting because we're seeing most of the lanes pretty much just farm it out. We've only had mid lane die once so far, so it looks like a bit of a slower start.
Yeah.
And that usually makes for, of course, more explosive team fights. The items that have built up before the skirmishes, now a lot more potent, completed items and not just parts of it. But so far, seems like both teams are just content to just sit on their parts of items and farm it up until they can get the entire item, and then I think we'll have some pretty crazy team fights.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one's gonna work out for Zotac 269, but I'm just slightly worried for Phat Ultimate if the game goes on like this, because if you look at it, Zotac 269 is gonna be very, very happy just sitting their lanes to farm. If you look at it, they do have some very strong team fighting potentials here with the Hecarim, with the Sejuani, and even the Thresh as well. All these guys are just huge enablers of team fight. As compared to Phat Ultimate, their team composition is a bit more orientated towards disengaging. They have the Lulu and the Janna as well. That's going to be very helpful. But right now they're going to catch on to Cirque here. And Celebrity, once again, with the get out of jail free card, going to use the Dark Passage to save Celebrity out of that awkward situation. We did see the TP being cancelled out of the top lane as well, so that cooldown's going to come into effect here. Ness is going to have his one up in about... It's about halfway through his cooldown, so we'll see how that one works out. And up at the top lane, we do see the engage onto King J here. The slicing Maelstrom's going to lock him into place for a while, dealing quite a fair bit of damage, and he's going to walk out of that alive for now, but he has to back off.
Alright, so we can see that the Cannon pick doing very well for Ultimate, actually. There's the, about 20 plus CS lead I was talking about the moment King J has to back. On top of that, the TP mismatch. Ooh, B1 actually getting extremely low right here. Doesn't actually drop. You can see that flat. Oh, Tyr and Tarzan come in from the back.
Oh, very nice death sentence to actually hook Tarzan back into place. And Cirque might find himself in a bit of trouble though. Where is the Umburo? Doesn't come back through. And Heaven on the back end. Very nice wall growth to keep Tarzan alive. Once again, Hop gets the kill onto Cirque. We do see the ultimate coming through from Sejuani, but that does not pick up the kill onto Phat Ultimate. 4 members down the bottom lane for Phat Ultimate. They are looking to go towards the dragon.
It's absolutely ridiculous what Ultimate did right there, right? B1 gets chunked out low. And you can make an argument that, Celebrity, okay, we'll have to hold that thought because we might have a little bit of a scuffle here around the dragon. Dragon actually sitting about 1,005, but it looks like they actually want to secure kills. And then the dragon, what a beautiful spell shot from B1 blocking out rather one of the ultimate charges from Rites of the Arcane, but they're very, very low. Tarzan, misses his smite, but the Boomerang Blades manage to catch that. I think that Ultimate will want to back away now. Sir with the mobility boots might be able to catch on. Nice tag by the Prey Seeker to slow him down right there.
That's right, they're still chasing down the... Look at the amount of tunnels down at the dragon area. It almost looks like a... it just looks like a construction site. Just plenty of holes being drilled around the whole map. But, Phat Ultimate did come out of that one, taking the dragon for themselves as well. So, small victory for an Phat Ultimate. But pretty much in terms of the kill count itself, not too big of a difference except for the 2 that went over to Hope. So, he needs to be the one to actually capitalize off that and hopefully hold the ground on his own now in the mid lane.
Yeah. Have to agree with you there. And of course, just talking a little bit about how ridiculous, what Ultimate achieved in that team fight was B1 got chunked so low. He was pushed all the way back to the tier 1 tower. Celebrity actually, recovers from his overextension or his aggression due to the Dark Passage. But then Tyr and Tarzan come in from the back and you're like, maybe we'll have a replay of this. Okay, this is actually the second portion, right? Where after Tyr and Tarzan are actually done coming from the back, it's not over, right? You think that the backstab's over, you're safe to retreat. That's what Sir thought, but then Hope comes in, not only gets a wonderful wild growth off to save Tarzan, snipes Sir with the backward Glitter Lance, and this is what I was talking about. The chaos that Ultimate can sow in the ranks of the enemy team is just ridiculous because it looks really messy on our screen, but the players seem to be very composed, right? B1 comes back, to throw out the Boomerang Blade with only about 100 HP, he's not scared. He has confidence that his team is going to collapse from the back. Tarzan and Tyr, they're not afraid to go close to the tower because Hope's coming from the back. You know, it looks messy sometimes to us, but the players themselves on Ultimate, you know, really, really playing well together.
Yep, Tarzan's gonna come around the corner, try to use the Prey Seeker to snipe out the Razor Big Ham, but it will be beyond that pixel line. I think it's just high time for us to sort of discuss the Lulu pick here. And if you look over at the Korean scene, a lot of the teams that like to run with this sort of composition with no true tank on their own end, they really love this Lulu in the mix here, because what it does, it's not only is Lulu a very strong laner, you can also provide so much utility in terms of the team fight. That Wild Growth, it's not like a heal, you know. Heal can be cut into half with Grievous Wounds, with that sort of status, but Wild Growth is just excellent in terms of, you know, bringing you back up to health, and, you know, that HP is going to stay with you past the duration of the ultimate as well. So, you know, it's just fantastic to, you know, add into the equation here. I think we're seeing signs of that coming into this Phat Ultimate squad right here. And if that's going to be the case in the next team fight, then I think Zotac 269, they have to be very careful of how they approach, you know, all this kind of skirmishes by itself. Yeah,
for sure. I think you make a great point about Lulu's strengths. And on top of that, you know, with a team that knows how to play with each other very well, you can be very patient with that Wild Growth. And you put a lot of hesitation into the shot calling for the enemy team. You know, whoever's the shot caller, oh, hold that thought. Celebrity gets absolutely destroyed even before the home guard TP can complete. King JJ, overestimating his speed, actually needs to take the Dark Passage home. I mean, he was fast, but he was pretty fast to go home too.
Yeah, that's right. And very bad opportunity coming through. And in the mid lane, almost going down. And like we talked about, you know, you can cut the healing into half by the Grievous Wounds, but not necessarily for the Wild Growth here, as we did get Ness dealing some damage down onto Cirque on the back end here. So it's going to be a 1-for-0 trade here for Phat Ultimate, but we did see Hope getting chunked down quite low here. So Zotac 269 trying to make the best of the situation, grouping up in the mid lane to deal some damage on the first tier turret, but the rest of Phat Ultimate has already regrouped, and they will be able to, you know, hold their ground here to, you know, re-establish some ward lines and, of course, defend the mid lane for themselves.
Alright, to Beyond's credit, he has done a good job. Ooh, Tarzan getting chunked here.
And getting chunked as well. The monster's going to save his life for now, but that was how dangerous it was for Zotac 269. We saw how quickly they took them down. And we did get the Frozen Ball coming back on the back end here. Celebrity getting exhausted down as well. Shocking up, not going to land onto Tyr. But on the back end, Hope picks up the kill onto Cirque here using the Glitter Lance. B1 still alive here, trying to duel it out with Celebrity, but being chunked down to less than half of his HP. Same goes to Celebrity as well, who just got hit by the Glitter Lens right there. Very dangerous game that both teams are playing here, but it will be Phat Ultimate to retreat off of the back of that battle.
Yeah, 269 with some good picks of their own, using the Death Sentence into the Shocking Orbs to chunk out Tarzan. And honestly, a little bit sloppy by Tarzan right there with his Rek'Sai. This is something that I think Phat Ultimate, you know, I worry for them sometimes from what we've seen in their game 2. It does look, you know, considerably sloppier than game 1, but honestly, you have to give credit where it's due. It's because their game 1 looks so damn good.
So good, right? It
so
sets
good.
the standard higher.
Yeah, and then you're like, my goodness, he got hit by one Shocking Orb. What? What? Fire this guy, right? But it's like, that's how clean their game 1 was. That in game 2 you go like, come on, man, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. But
I think it's only fair to explain to our viewers how good game 1 was. So if you missed out that game,
go watch it.
To put it in analogy, it's like watching a movie in HD, like 1080p, and then the next movie that you watch is in like 360p.
It's like, what's going on here?
I was like, what the hell is going on, right? You gotta set the expectations like, oh wow, fantastic graphics and, you know, some stuff, and you just go back to being
tip-top performance.
Yeah, I know.
And you know, in all seriousness, if Phat Ultimate goes all the way, and we're talking, you know, best of 5s, you know, more stringent or more competitive formats, they need to be ready to play a series.
Yeah.
You know, I say this because this is a team that, you know, we're all looking towards as raising the standard of play in the GPL, and they need to be ready to play those long games. Looks like 269 make a good jab down the mid lane, all the way already at the tier 2, getting a good amount of damage there. I mean, Hecarim with the Sheen is able to chunk towers very, very quickly. I think the tier 2 in middle will go down. Celebrity frantically trying to clear the minion wave, his ultimate right there, but that's a cannon minion wave. So I think it will be, a nice stop right there. I think they'll still get the turret though. Yeah, they will.
That's right. The Glacier Prism being thrown down by Heaven just to buy some time for the rest of the team. And honestly, Flavors, if you look back at what just happened right here, was it really necessary for Phat Ultimate to go for the exchange right there? They lost 2 turrets for the price of 1 down the bomb lane.
You know, honestly, if they hadn't taken so much damage on some of their members, I would say it's worth it, mostly due to the fact that Dragon had spawned, right? So going for the bottom tower means that you can actually move towards the bottom side to get the vision and then, you know, swing towards the tower. But they're a bit slow towards this.
Yeah, we're going to watch this one. It is going to be Sejuani that picks up that one with the smite, and Slicing Maelstrom is going to come around, but Zotac 269 looking to just hit and run off of that dragon attempt here. They will secure that one for themselves. No one on the team has gone down as of yet. So, Phat Ultimate, huge opportunity being lost there.
Yeah, you know, I want to say it's actually it actually is the correct move on for Ultimate to go for the tier 2 bottom when the dragon's spawning, because if the defense was too strong for the push, then you can go for the plan B, which is dragon. But I think what they didn't expect was 269 to push so aggressively down the middle. I think what they expected was, after showing so strong in the bottom, you know, at least 4 members would come to defend, and then it's like, okay, 4 members are at your tier 2, stuck at bottom, we immediately go to dragon. But 269 actually made a brilliant move of their own. They said, we don't need that many people bottom to hold. They actually almost held it, right, with the wave clear from the ultimates of Sejuani and Graves. It still fell in the end, but they made a brilliant move of their own, which is to say, tier 2 in the middle is open for us as well. And arguably the tier 2, you know, the towers in middle are actually more valuable than the side lane turrets. And they got the dragon as well. So they actually made a very, very great strategic call right there, and that's good to see. You know, I mean, I would still say Phat Ultimate, especially from the Game 1 performance, are outclassing 269. But it's good to see 269 saying, you know, you're not infallible as well. You know, you can make mistakes too, and I'm going to capitalize on those.
Yeah, and the reason why the mid lane second tier turret is especially more important for Phat Ultimate is that if you look at their team lineup right now, they excel at skirmishes. So with that second tier, mid tier turret down, you can go for, you know, 1-4 strategies and stuff like that to actually get more deep wards in onto the jungle in Phat Ultimate, so you can prevent that sort of skirmish from happening and just focus plainly on what your team comp is best, which is in team fighting. So we'll see if that actually occurs for Zotac 269. Will they choose to go in for deep wards on their own end to, you know, extend that ward line here?
Looks like we are getting a bit of frame lag from the stream as Tarzan frantically tries to flee the pit. That Zerg did a nice job aggroing the Baron onto him. I think he'll pop back in there to clear the ward, and we'll see. It too, on Phat Ultimate, yeah, they do need to go into the enemy's jungle to put the wards at the flank positions so that they can push safely onto the tier 2. And definitely against a Sejuani composition, Hecarim, you need to be able to watch for the ward positions for your flanks, because those 2 champions, especially the TP home guards Hecarim, if you don't ward your flanks or you're not keeping an eye out for where the wards are on the enemy team, you're going to get absolutely smashed.
Yeah, but I really like this strategy that Zotac 269 have decided to run with, to actually just send King J to split push by himself, because they have confidence in this Hecarim that he's just going to be able to escape our sticky situations, either by the devastating strike, which gives you a whole bunch of movement speed if you just see them coming your way.
He's coming!
Yeah, but he's going to go straight for B1 in this case. They are going to go straight down to him, and they are going to get locked out by the Glacier Prison as well. And in fact, the Monsoon's going to push King J straight in the face of B1, and Celerity is going to go down, going to take Tyr down as well. And Ness, finding himself in a very awkward position, will get brought down by the Rod of the Arcane as well. And wow, Zotac 269 finds a fantastic pick right here down the bottom lane, 3-0, and haven't been able to, you know, pick up the objective of that, but that's going to be a huge time, a huge window for them to do so.
Yeah, if anything, it should shake the confidence of Team Ultimate, you know, who play very confident. Like I said, they pick team compositions, and they've picked one again that just likes to run into your face and sow all that chaos. Let's move into a replay. That's already, you know, the dual lane of Phat Ultimate going down, and Ness, he just gets caught out, and this is, you know, this is the uncharacteristic sloppiness from Phat Ultimate. You know, we said from game number 1, and we saw it as well, that the reason why they look so good in teamfights is that they were swapping their members in and out, making it very difficult for the enemies to target focus them. But then we saw, Ness come in very late with his TP. The Monsoon was honestly quite bad, pushing the Hecarim back towards B1. Little mistakes like this that, starting to add up. And the kill score has been evened up. 269 is actually ahead in turrets. And now they're ahead in gold as well. And suddenly, Team Ultimate need to be thinking, is this Hecarim too much to deal with? Because every time we TP home guards in, it's really, really scary for them.
Yeah, I was about to make that point as well. Is it the case where Phat Ultimate is kind of slacking off, or is Hecarim the true answer to all these sticky situations? As we have another fight breaking out, Tarzan takes a bunch of damage on his own end. Same goes to Heaven as well. Does take a fair chunk of damage to his HP right here. And Beyond is going to use that Zeref pick to use that long range to zone out Phat Ultimate as much as possible. So a small scare right there in the river area, but we will not get that full-fledged team fight breaking out just as of yet.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, and I think definitely we have to ask that, right? Is it the Hecarim that's causing all that chaos?
Is it really the Hecarim?
Because if you think about it, B1 and Tier seemed, I want to say they seemed ready, and I wonder how much of it was just, you know what, sorry pal, I messed up the Monsoon, it won't happen again. Because they were positioned in such a way that B1, he spell shielded the Fear, the Terrify, and then even when Sejuani came in, honestly, if that Monsoon hadn't messed up, it would just have been, okay, we escape. But because it didn't, it was a mistake, kind of cascaded into more mistakes, right? They probably called, Ness come down now, they've expended all their ultimates, gets locked down by the Shocking Orb. We'll have to see. We see Team Ultimate as the team that does very well, sowing chaos into the enemy ranks. How well do they do it when it's being thrown back at them? When you have a Hecarim, a Sejuani rushing at you, can you keep your composure?
Yep, and the one thing about Phat Ultimate, we've always been saying that they are a very systematic team. They work as a unit. They really look like they're playing together as a team. But one thing that we haven't really quite seen coming from them is how they come back from a deficit. Case in point, the game against Bangkok Titans when they were down in the early stages, they just looked so lost, and they definitely look quite lost against Zotac 269 now. They did take up the top lane turret for themselves. A couple of members are recalling right now, and we do see the group up coming from Zotac 269 down to the bomb lane. 5 members stacked up right here. Will they be able to take out the second tier? Yep, they will be able to do so. Phat Ultimate just stood there to watch as that went down as well.
To their credit, they've got the tier 2. There's no way you can honestly stand or try and defend your tier 2, with less than 5v5 against a Hecarim, Sejuani, and a Thresh. They'll just, so much will be flying into your face. Seraph will be free to unload damage from the back, as will Celebrity's Grave. So they know that they don't have the strength to fight at the Dragon Pit without any vision. You can clearly see it's been pink warded by 269. They don't try and make the risky play right there. They get the tier 2 at top that's been opened up. The question is, like you said, how confident are they to actually make a comeback?
Oh my goodness. Hope just gets decimated by Beyond on the back end. Ness is going to use the Slicing Maelstrom and the Zhonya's Hourglass to buy some time, but he's going to be under the turret range, so he's going to go down on the back end. We do see Beyond pick up a double kill. Cirque going to pick up the next one onto B1, and it's going to be Tarzan and Terra left standing here. A 3-for-1 exchange on the side of Zotac 269. They will take that any day of the week, as they are going to march their way down into the mid lane. Inhibitor turret, will they be able to pick that one out? Celebrity is alive for that one. So let's see if Tarzan and Terra can do the impossible and defend against this 5-man squad. Looks like that's not going to be the case for now.
You know what, Chris? Whoa, okay. Tarzan actually going in, uses his flash, but doesn't get the knock. That's huge right there. They're a little bit split now. 3 on one and retreating, and Sejuani on the other. They do manage to regroup. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Hecarim comes in and is just like, yo, back up for my T, please. But Ness on the back as well.
That's right. Going to watch the back ends here. Ness, who's he going to try to zero in on? There is going to be that big, strong Hecarim to defend for his teammates here. So he's going to soak up a fair bit of skill shots here. As Phat Ultimate might look like they're poised towards chasing down Cirque here. Ness is going to try to lightning rush into this one, I feel. And Tarzan on the back end. Are they going to actually start things off the Baron while 2 of their members are fighting right here? King J picks up the kill onto Hope here. They might just chase onto Ness for now. Terra's going to be there to assist Ness if he's in any sorts of trouble. And in fact, it is going to be Tarzan as well as B1 just starting things off the Baron. King J with the ward will spot them out, but Baron's still pretty healthy here. A very big risk coming out from Phat Ultimate. Will they be able to do it? And here we go, right off the arcade. Oh! He gets the spike steal. Heaven gets that one. And Tarzan going for the bet did not pay off whatsoever. Zotac 269 cashes out big time. Terra's going to be the next one to fall. Who's going to get a kill? It's going to be Hackerim once again swinging his blade for victory here. Wow, what just happened there?
Man, 269 just punishing Phat Ultimate for some very uncharacteristic mistakes. We've called Phat Ultimate the team that plays around objectives so well, but for whatever reason, they try and two-man Baron against Hekrim and Sejuani, two members of the opposing team that can just jump in there, and they love the fact that you're bunched up. They honestly didn't have the damage alone. I mean, we'll take a replay of this. You can see how early Heaven goes in because he knows King J on the other side, and just look at this. There's no way they can deal with these two monsters that are, you know, getting on their AoE in. Celebrity's ultimate honestly doesn't matter. Hekrim and Sejuani did all the work right there. Just in that small enclosed area, all the AoE. I mean, absolutely foolish from ultimate right there. I mean, we saw it as well. Hope and Ness were kind of playing around with Sir as well as King J. And, you know, one of them dropped and it's like, oh crap. At most, you're going to have a 4v5 around Baron, and they still stuck to it. You know, just cut your losses at that point in time. Should have backed off.
I have to say, that play from Phat Ultimate right there has got to be the strangest play I've ever seen in competitive League of Legends history. And I'm not just talking about Garena Premier League. I'm talking about every single leagues that I've watched across the globe.
But we've seen worse, I think.
Yeah, I have to say it's the weirdest one. I'm not saying it's the worst or whatever. I'm just saying it's downright questionable and just because
weird.
You know we've seen distraction techniques like that before. I think the most
you're being too
famous
kind.
one being Starhorn Royal Club when we saw Insect just being in the bottom lane by himself and just buying a lot of time for his teammates who were just 4 men doing the Baron. And then he eventually did go down, but it was a very sneaky attempt, and his team managed to do so. But we saw what happened in the mid lane. It was Hope and Ness. They were seemingly trying to chase down Cirque with King J around the area, and then the rest of them was just hovering around the river area. And it could have been the case of shot calling, going disastrous for Phat Ultimate there, but it just, the grand scheme of things just looks really weird.
Yeah, which is a strange thing to say for Ultimate, especially a team that we, again, call them just looking so solid in terms of the communication, going for objectives, very, very focused as an entire squad. Something seems to be breaking down, and it might be, like you said, Chris, when they get put on the back foot, maybe it's, those clutch decisions that you have to make where, it's really going to mean the game or not, playing with that little breathing space, right? Because when you're very far ahead, you can make a mistake or two, and then you go, all right, we still got this. But when it's neck and neck, right, and you're tied, and you have to make the absolute right decision, Phat Ultimate does seem to choke a little bit. They do seem to choke a little bit. That is, I believe, the 4th dragon. Was it the 3rd? Going over to 269. Nevertheless, the objective game for the objective team looking very, very weak at this time around. And Phat Ultimate, they're just not finding it in them to play their team fight correctly. 269 has punished their mistakes, I have to say, honestly speaking, punished their mistakes more so than making the active moves. Overstaying at towers, getting locked down by the Sejuani ultimate under tower. Those are mistakes of Phat Ultimate. And 269, they actually need to be, or rather, Phat Ultimate with the cannon pick, they should be ready for the Sejuani to unleash ultimate, for the Hekrim to come in, but they're putting themselves in positions like the Dragon Pit under the tower, where even if they charge at you, you're not going to want to fight there. So really, it's really, really not looking good for Team Ultimate.
And we did see Terra being chunked down by Beyond there as well. Man. And Beyond is just packing so much magic damage at this point. We did see Tarzan getting caught out a little bit with the death sentence right here. The flash was blown as well. And the good thing right now for Phat Ultimate, at the very least, is that the Baron buff has worn off on the side of Zotac 269. So they just need to be very patient and very careful with their, play right here. They cannot afford to get caught out like that. But it's just so much of a problem right now with Beyond packing so much magic damage on his own end. So, before this, we were kind of questioning, what's with the Zeref pick? Looks like we have the answer this time around. Just wrapping up the composition very nicely, should they not find an angle for the hard engage, they'll just send Beyond on siege duty, deal as much damage as possible to Unfat Ultimate, siege them down as much as possible, and then try to, deal some damage to the structures itself.
That's right. I mean, definitely the late game Xerath 303, the beneficiary of many a mid-game gank from Heaven as well, or excuse me, mid-lane gank in the early game by Heaven. But of course, I'm still critical, just due to the fact that he's always played Xerath. I mean, just ban his Xerath, and let's see what he plays. Nevertheless, putting up a good showing this time around, giving them, like you said, that option to, we don't have to hard engage, even though that's a monster strength of our composition. We can poke away at them. Let's see now, though, with the inhibitor respawning. Oh, they're actually going in right now. Tarzan.
That's right. The Arcane's going to come down as well. Celebrity picks up the kill onto Tarzan on the back end nest on Zhonya's Hourglass right here. Will he be the next one to fall? Looks like that's going to be the case. And we do see King J zoning out the rest of Unfat Ultimate. They're going to chase in onto B1, but he's going to go down to King J there. Still alive, though. Hope is trying very desperately to run for his life here. But Zotac 269 does bring down 3 members on the side of Unfat Ultimate. And it looks like we are going to have a 1-1 split at the end of this best of 2 here, as Zotac 269 picks up the victory at the 34-minute mark.
My goodness, Chris. We said with 8 of the bottom teams getting sliced off, we'd have closer competition. But I did not expect this kind of result coming out from Unfat Ultimate. And I have to say, it's throwing a lot of questions into the level of their play, because we saw this against BKT as well, who, by the way, it's a more likely situation that they lose to BKT, because BKT has that track record. They have that impressive play, but 269, I mean, a team that we said honestly plays a little bit sloppy, themselves made what we called one of the cleanest performing teams in the GPL look sloppy themselves. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's going to throw a lot of questions into the critics' minds, that's for sure. But I'm also quite glad that, that we are getting this sort of results. It's no longer the case where we get, straight out 2-0 victories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just goes to show how close the level of competition is past Group Stage 1. And speaking about competition, we'll have one more Best of 2 series coming up very, very shortly after that. That is going to be Hanoi Fuluis going up against
BKT.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one.
Yes.
Kind of slipped my mind for a second there. But we'll be coming right back after this, so don't go away.